Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyaptadehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankara Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Virjam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatva Manusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sanga Padakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam na vidussura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. Anybody would like to chant? Yeah. Sundari ji, go ahead. Let's chant from verse number 9. Janma karma cha me divyam
Janma karma cha me divyam
Evam yo vetti tattvataha
Evam yo vetti tattvataha
Tyaktva deham punarjanma
Tyaktva deham punarjanma
Naiti mameti sorjuna
Naiti mam eti sorjuna
Vitaraga bhaya krodhaha
Vitaraga bhaya krodhaha
Manmaya mamupashritaha
Manmaya mam upasritaha
Bahavo jnana tapasa
Bahavo jnana tapasa
Bhuta madbhavamagataha
Bhuta madbhavamagataha
Ye yatha mam prapadyante
Ye yata mam prapantyante
Tans tathaiva bhajamyaham
Tams tataiva bhajamyaham
Mama vartmanu vartante
Mama vatmanu vartante
Manushya partha sarvashah
Manushya partha sarvasaha
Kankshantah karmanam siddhim
Kam shantam karmanam siddhim
Yajanta iha devataha
Yajanta iha devataha
Kshipram himanushe loke
क्षिप्रं हि मानुषे लोके
siddhir
लोके
bhavati karmaja
सिद्धिर्भवति कर्म च
chaturvarnyam maya srishtam
चातुर्वर्ण्यं मया सृष्टं
guna karma vibhagashah
गुणकर्म विभागशः
tasya kartaramapi mam
तस्य कर्तारमपि मां
vidhya kartaramavyayam.
विद्य कर्तारमव्ययम्.
Yeah. So we are now, am I audible? Yeah. So we are now entering this verse number 13. Somewhat of an important verse for several reasons. So we saw the introduction to the shloka in the last class. And that is, the Vedas says that we have to, every human being must get moksha. And moksha is not simply said as going to some place. Moksha is defined as recognizing Ishvara as non-different from oneself. Recognizing the world as non-different from oneself. So it seems like a tall order. And there seems to be no connection between that vision and the vision that I am used to. That I must become, I am insecure and I must become secure. And I can become secure only by doing things. And I constantly do and do and do. And so this, the Vedas says, this kind of a life has no end. And we may be dharmic, but dharma will get us punyam, and punyam will get us better births. And better births will exhaust that punyam, and then I'll come back because Papa is also there sitting in my account. And therefore, after a long time in heaven or wherever, in some loka, I'll come back to a place where this Punya Papa Mishra is going to be there. Mishra. So we've heard last name Mishra. So Mishra means what? That person is a Mishra of Punyam and Papa. Okay, that's the meaning of Mishra. There's no other meaning to that. Mishra means, hey, I'm a Mishra, everybody is a Mishra, all of us are Mishras. Okay, if somebody asks you, what's your name? Just say you are Vivek Mishra. And then they'll say, what? When did you become Mishra? No, I didn't become Mishra. I was always a Mishra. So we're all Mishras. So this is the vision of the Vedas. So the Vedas says you have to sometime or the other become aware to this reality. So how do I go from this karma track to this jnana track? What about bhakti, this and that? So many other tracks are there. Yeah. So all tracks are there, but all tracks will take us to, which is supposed to help us recognize who we are. That's the whole idea. So then we said, being that these are apparently opposite tracks that don't meet, you have to make a jump from this track to that track. And like driving, and learning to drive, you have to drive in order to learn to drive, but you have to learn to drive in order to drive. So how are you going to figure this out? And you have to sit in the wheel, in front of the wheel, and then you have to drive. But then you can't drive without a license, but you can't get a license without driving. So this problem is there. So same thing. So there is a system that has been developed so that person can learn to drive carefully with the help of somebody, etc. So like that here also, this Chatur Varnyam, Shloka number 13. And so there are fourfold Varnas. That is what Krishna is talking about. So we need to spend a little time on this. What is this Chatur Varnyam? He doesn't explain all that. Krishna doesn't explain. But we have to discover this Vedic vision of this fourfold Varnas. So two models really, Ashrama and Varna. Ashrama Vyavastha and Varna Vyavastha. And so this ashrama vyavastha is there, which defines the life of a Vedic person. And brahmachari, we've heard that, ashrama. And then there is grahastha ashrama, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. That is how a Vedic lifestyle is supposed to evolve for a human being, for a Vedic person. And beginning first 10 years, 16 years, whatever, Adhyayanam. Adhyayana Pradhana Ashramaha is called Brahmachari Ashram, where the only job of that person is to study. Only job, nothing else is there. The society takes care of the person, the family takes care of the person has to study. This is how the setup was. And oftentimes, the Vedic people, the child is even sent away to the Gurukula when they are 6 years or 7 years old. So the child is not even there at home. Child only returns back. Periodically comes home, no doubt, but returns back finally after the studies are over. That ashrama is called Brahmachari ashrama. And okay, even otherwise, these days, whether you go to Vedic Patashala or not, and the studies are there. First, until college studies. This is how it is. That is called Brahma, that ashrama. That stage of life is called ashrama. Ashrama means a place where one relaxes. That is the definition of ashrama. One relaxes doing what one is supposed to do. It is supposed to be a relaxation and growth period. That's called an ashrama. An ashrama is a phase of our life or a place where one grows. One relaxes and grows. We can grow only when we relax. If we are stressed out, we can't grow up. Therefore, the ashrama is given. Okay, you just study. Don't worry. Don't worry about earning money and this and that. So I found when I went to America, I found this very interesting. These people who were in college, they used to work. They used to work in McDonald's. They used to work in Burger King. They used to work Pizza Hut and all. I used to wonder, wow, these girls and boys are working. I never thought of that. I never knew I should work when I was studying, doing my college work. And these fellows say they have to earn money and all that. And I never had to earn money when I was going to college. So I had that thought was there. But that's interesting. That's, giving them some responsibility and say, you have to start earning. That is okay. But we need to be careful not to push it because studies come only for a few years. And after that, the inclination to study is gone. And so that's why you find people coming to joining courses in community colleges and universities who are 40, 50, 60, 70 years old. Recently, I saw a news article. One lady was 80 years old and she finished college. And she said, I want to study. And so it's difficult. The older you are, more difficult to study. And because a lot of responsibilities are there. So therefore, Brahmacharya ashrama means an ashrama where one studies. Next is Grahastha ashrama. So Brahmacharya ashrama is Adhyayana Pradhana ashrama. Adhyayana means study. Study the Vedas, study whatever else has to be studied. That is the ashrama. Then Grahastha ashrama. Grahastha ashrama means married lifestyle. And the marriage is needed so that one can grow further. Emotional growth happens in marriage. And of course, then responsibilities also increase and one becomes more responsible for not just one person, but more. And then the responsibilities grow, and from family to extended family to community, and community to nation, etc. All those things happen in Grahastha ashrama. So Grahastha ashrama doesn't mean home. Okay, I, me, myself, and my family. That's not Grahastha ashrama. So a lot of responsibilities are there. Our vision has to grow. So initially we are focused on the family and children and so forth, but slowly we increase our field of responsibility. And And responsibility can grow because the grahasthasrama, the grahastha, the one who is, they use the word householder. And in India, they say householder. And in US and all, I've not seen that phrase. And so I don't know. We need to look into this householder. I think it's a literal translation of grahastha, I think. I think that's what it is. Otherwise, what is this householder, And so we are all householders, they say. So anyway, that family person, male or female, that person's karma is not limited at all. No limit to what the person can do. Any profession, any place they can live, as long as you're taking care of doing your dharma, you can do whatever you want. You can even join politics. And so anything is acceptable. So nothing, there's no limit to that person's duties, profession and duties. Duties, of course, Vedic duties are there, but no limit to profession, anything you can do. But a brahmachari, no, brahmachari cannot do anything, only study. And Pujya Swamiji's famous statement is that brahmachari's duty is only to study, not to go steady. Like that, he used to joke. And steady, this is another word I learned only in America. Here and all, I didn't know what steady and all meant. But going steady, it seems, because, I have boyfriend, girlfriend and all that stuff. So no going steady, you have to only study. That's all. That is the brahmachari ashrama. Okay. Then grahastha ashrama, then suddenly the field opens up. Only the grahastha ashrama has the right to do Vedic karma, and Agnihotradi can be done only by a married person. Even a divorcee cannot do all these things. Only a married person, a wife and a husband together only can do a yajna karya. Single people cannot do, divorced people cannot do all this, they cannot do. So this grahastha ashrama is so important. And then, so that person can do anything. Serve the society in any way they want. That's the beauty of it. And so and they can change professions. All this is possible. This is grahastha ashrama, which is therefore a karma pradhana ashrama. Karma pradhana ashrama or karma yoga pradhana ashrama. Karma pradhana means the life is governed by activity. Grahastha means active life and busy from morning to evening. Busy. Whether you have children or not, you are busy. This is the life of a grahastha. And karma yoga pradhana means, well, being exposed to the Shastra, you say, hey, wait a minute, I am not simply going to do what is to just earn a living, to survive. No, I'm going to serve society and my outlook is going to be broader. And so I'm going to have this karma yoga attitude also, thanks to the Vedas. And that lifestyle is called a grahastha ashrama. Okay, grahastha, householder. Then what? Then vanaprastha. Because now my journey is going to be moksha. I'm aiming towards moksha. And only by doing service to society, I can gain moksha. I'm not going to simply, only then I can get antakarana shuddhi. And then prasada buddhi, all these things are important. And I gain all that. And then comes grahastha, vanaprastha. So at some point, I say, no, I'm going to withdraw from all this activity. I'm going to withdraw. Correct? Because if I'm busy doing things, I will not have time for the Shastram. Some time in my life, Shastram has to become bigger and bigger. I spend more time in a given day studying the Shastram, getting exposed to the Shastram, and less time on all these extroverted activities, engaging in parties, engaging in social functions, engaging in this, engaging in that. All of which were important at one time, but now they are going to reduce in importance. Vanaprastha ashrama. Relationships, slowly I withdraw myself from engaging in relationships. Even family relationship, husband-wife relationship, now it becomes a friend. Two friends are living at home. Not husband-wife, even though externally they're all husband-wife, but really two friends are living at home. Correct? Because now focus is changing. That's called vanaprastha. Look at all that. Look at the transformation that's happening in the life of this Vaidika, according to the Vedas. Okay, vanaprastha. Then what? Sannyasa. Sannyasa. Sannyasa means now I have grown to a point where two things can happen. I've understood what the Shastram says, Aham Brahmasmi. Therefore, there is no second. Therefore, the Vanaprastha ashrama also is not needed. Or in today's world, sannyasa ashrama, those days, they used to walk away and then take sannyasa. Guruji, another sannyasi who is a guru will come and give sannyasa to both husband and wife. Both become sannyasis. But today it's not like that. The lifestyle has changed and the whole way we live has changed. And so then what do? Then Vanaprastha, you live by yourself. Sannyasa, fine, live by yourself. Teach, conduct classes, teach shlokas, teach Upanishads, teach Bhagavad Gita. And so there is so much service you can do being at home. Others don't know you're a sannyasi, but you know you're a sannyasi. Correct? Maybe the clothes you wear is not the ochre robe. Okay, that is fine. Vedas does not say, it provides a nice slot called sannyasa slot. And if you want, you can pursue this knowledge also. And that pursuit can be done exclusively. You're given the right to do it. You take sannyasa and then you say, I am now going to be devoted to the Vedas and I'm going to provide service to people by teaching the Vedas. That becomes a life of sannyasa. So sannyasa can be after knowledge you become a sannyasi, or for the sake of knowledge you become a sannyasi. We saw these two types of sannyasis, Vividisha sannyasa and Vidvat sannyasa. Vidvat sannyasa means a person who wants to take sannyasa because the person sees the vision that Krishna is talking about, already seen. Therefore, now I want to become a sannyasi. Or the person says, no, this is going to be my life and I'm going to give up all my responsibilities. Because I have discharged all my responsibilities, there's nothing more left to do and I want to become a sannyasi so I can study the Shastra. That is called Vividisha sannyasa and takes us to the sannyasa ashrama. Correct? Adhyayana pradhana ashrama, brahmachari. Karma or karma yoga pradhana ashrama, grahastha ashrama. Then what about vanaprastha? Upasana pradhana ashrama, contemplation, withdrawal, meditation, more time spent with oneself. That is called vanaprastha ashrama. So we don't have to worry about taking this word literally. Vanam means forest. Vanaprastha means one who has departed to the forest. That's a literal meaning. Okay, literal meaning you leave aside. But what is the spirit? The spirit is upasana pradhana ashrama. Contemplative lifestyle. Contemplate about what you've studied so far and get into the Shastra. Now, so some of you, I can see you're already in the Vanaprastha ashrama because you're spending more and more time on the Shastra. Upasana pradhana ashrama. Next, last, Jnana yoga pradhana ashrama. Sannyasa ashrama. Jnana yoga, because it's a fact to be revealed, fact to be understood. So Jnana yoga. So Bhakti yoga is there, everything else is there. Raja yoga is there, all the yogas come into that. It has already been playing a role in your life and now focused on Jnana. Jnana yoga pradhana ashrama will be called the sannyasa ashrama. Okay. Now, this Krishna does not talk about. He did not mention sannyasa ashrama, the ashrama. He only talks about varna dharma, which we need to talk about. Okay. So the ashrama vyavastha, that means this model of staged life, staged life, is meant for the individual to mature, to grow, internally grows, emotionally matured. And so Vanaprastha ashrama is also important for that, because now one has to recognize, emotional assessment has to be made, and then has to look at, because all life long I've been busy and I haven't really looked into myself. Maybe it's time to visit a psychologist, a counselor, and look into myself. All this, when are you going to do all this? So I did that when I was working in Houston. And they used to have, these companies used to have, they have something like, you've got some 8 sessions, 10 sessions are free. And you can choose your counselor, your psychologist, your psychotherapist, and then you can have these free sessions. Otherwise, you have to pay, on an hourly basis, you pay these people. And so I said, why? This is fantastic. Why not I take advantage of it? So I found a good therapist in Houston. That person is a West American Caucasian, but he's a Buddhist also. And so that person understands cultures, they understand Eastern culture, Asian culture, because we're all coming from a different culture. Our conflicts are all going to be different. We will have the conflict that, my God, my parents are alone. No, I'm not taking care of my parents. Conflict. That conflict will be there, more severe for the Indian than it is for an American, right? Because the culture there is different. There, they all live independently and things like that. And so that conflict won't be there. But for us, we will have that conflict. So I said, this person was pretty good. And in fact, that person was suggested to me by your classmate Anjali here, Anjali Pinjala. Because she's a psychologist, she knows the people in Houston. And so she told me, Jayakumar, talk to this person. I forget the name of the person. I'll find out. And he's written a few good books also, and I purchased one of his books, and good book. And so the name will come to me. So I attended these sessions. So we may have to do all this. Never had time, and all the time shouting at people and this and that. And the time comes and says, no, I've got to do something about myself. So that time comes. That is Vanaprastha. So all this, so we have a lot of opportunity. We can't say there are no forests left, therefore I can't be a Vanaprastha. We can't give that logic. That won't work. That is not what Vanaprastha is, not going to a particular place. Hey, you can sit where you are and do all these things. And in India, we can go to a psychologist or we can go to Sannyasas or Swamis. Our Swamis are our psychologists. And they are the ones who help us sort out all our conflicts and family issues and this and that. So many things are there that have to be sorted out, and clarity has to be there. So all that we have to sort out. We have opportunity to sort out. And if I have not done it during my Grasta period, okay, retire, 60 whatever years you retire, and then slowly hand over the responsibilities to children, and then start a different journey. Switch gears completely. That's called Vanaprastha. So important. Because our vision is like that. Our vision is not going to heaven. Going to heaven is there means why sannyasa is needed? Please tell me. Why sannyasa? You be devoted to one God, whatever God it is, Krishna, Rama, or whatever. And then that fellow will take you to heaven. That God will take you to heaven. Over. And where is the question of all this tyaga and all self-assessment? All this is not needed. Because God, you're now God's chosen devotee. You're a chosen people. And therefore, there's nothing. There's no question of giving up. In fact, you should look for a home in the beach, on the beach front. And that's how your retirement life should be. So look at that. 2 different visions already. Very different visions. And that's what sets this Vedic life, Vedic lifestyle and Vedic culture apart from the rest of the world. So this is ashrama dharma. Okay, ashrama, right? I mean, all of you know this, and I don't mean to say that you didn't know this, but formally we're giving an introduction to that. Okay, then what about society? How is society to be designed, or how is it designed? Because for our growth, we also need a proper society, proper community, where we live, how we live. The society we live in also defines our way of life and our growth in this journey. Therefore, that is called Varna Vyavastha. Varna, the word Varnam is there here. Chatur Varnyam. That word Varnyam comes from the word Varna. 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 The word Varna itself means vir, to grow up, to mature. That is the meaning of the word vru dhatu there, varna. Okay. So this is where the popular, this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra idea comes. They're all called varnas. They're called varnas. Okay. Now we're going to talk about, we're going to define this who is a Brahmana, who is a Kshatriya, etc. That idea is coming. So now pay some attention, and we're going to talk about this Vedic model. Okay. Now, we talked about three gunas. Three gunas. So our Vedic models are all resting on this Trigunatmika model, the model of three gunas called Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. This you can underline, and we'll keep referring to it. And even if you go to Ayurveda, they'll talk about Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. You go to Ashtanga Yoga, they'll talk about Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And Vedanta also talks about Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And it's a brilliant model. What is the meaning of this? This also you know. Sattva. Sattva means anything that, especially in our case, since we are looking at a person's inclination. Sattva, when Sattva guna is predominant in a person, then that person is going to be more calmer. The person is going to be more thinking based, more ability to think through. Intellect is more pronounced, more active. Okay. And the person is more giving. And the person is more dharmic. And so that dharma becomes more important. Values drive the person's life. And such a person will take on the karma, the profession of what? Profession that is consistent with that nature, and that profession will be what? In a Vedic society, that profession will be teaching. That profession will be studying the Vedas. That profession will be teaching the Vedas, and so will be officiating rituals. They become priests, they become panditas, and so on and so forth. That karma, here I'm using the word karma to imply profession, not the past karma, etc., not punyam papam. Karma means profession. And so that person with this kind of a sattva predominant guna will be doing this karma called Brahmana Karma. The karma that the person does will be a Brahmana Karma. What kind of karma? We just said, well, given to teaching, given to counseling, given to protection of the Vedas, given to giving advice to people, given to teaching the Vedas, given to officiating rituals, etc., etc. Those kinds of occupations, if somebody is in that occupation and the person values dharma, then that person is called a Brahmana. Person is not called a Brahmana. The person is doing Brahmana Karma. What the person is called will come later. The person is doing Brahmana Karma. Sattva predominant, Rajas secondary, Tamas further behind. I did not explain to you these three gunas. Let me explain that. Sattva, Rajas means activity, ambition, drive, all that is Rajas. And Tamas is what? Absence of Sattva guna, absence of ability to think through things, and ability to explore intellectually. All that is not there in the Tamas predominant person. And the drive, ambition, even the ambition to make money is not there. That is called Tamas. Lethargy, dullness, and somehow make a living, somehow live. And what should I do all these things? And you say, hey, make some money, I'll give you a job. What problem has money solved? Please tell me. So I give an excuse to remain what to do, just to remain just like that. Money has not solved any problems. So the fellow doesn't want to make money also. So lethargy, this is called tamas. So Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, 3 gunas. Okay. And I explained to you the Sattva predominant person who is engaged in this kind of occupation of teaching and preserving the Vedas. That person for whom Sattva is predominant, Rajas is secondary, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, in other words, that kind of person, Sattva number 1, Rajas is number 2, Tamas is also there. Everybody has Tamas. And Tamas is a number 3 position. That person will be inclined to do Brahmana Karma. Brahmana Karma. Okay. That person will be inclined to do Brahmana Karma. What about the second type of person? Well, Rajas is predominant. Number 2, Rajas is predominant. Sattva is secondary. Tamas is third. Third position, Tamas. So that person, Rajas predominant. Therefore, that person has ambition. That person wants to accomplish, wants to achieve, do things. Okay. What kind of things he will do or she will do? Well, Sattva is secondary. Sattva is backing up the Rajas. That drive is backed up by proper thinking, Sattva, Dharma. Therefore, that person will do lot for society. For the society, because giving for the family, for the extended family, and then for society. And all our parents and grandparents were like that. They used to give for, they used to, they used to protect their entire extended families of big families, huge families. And their family themselves, there are 7, 8, 9, 10 siblings are there. And then beyond that, there you talk to my father or mother, they'll tell you he was this relative. And then I have to scratch my head because this relationship is going this way, that way, and I can't figure out what he's talking about. So extended families. So they used to support like that, and of course support the community. And so this guy, this Rajas predominant guy is doing the Kshatriya Karma. Kshatriya Karma. The word Kshatriya here applies to the Rajas predominant person who has the drive, who has the ambition, who is an active person and who wants to do things and accomplish things. But because backed by Sattva, the person is going to be outward focused. I want to accomplish for everybody. So they become leaders, they become kings, they become administrators, they become people who, they become police, they become judges, because it's all service to the country, service to the people. Correct? Okay. We'll analyze a little more later, but I'm just giving you an introduction. Rajas predominant people are doing Kshatriya Karma. So all government services, Kshatriya Karma. It's called Kshatriya Karma. Whether the government person is employed by the government is actually doing Kshatriya Karma is a different question. We're not discussing that. Okay. We're not discussing these Stalins and all these people and Uddhav Thackeray's and all this. Okay. We've got a lot of characters in our country, and the news is filled with, the TV is just blaring with Maharashtra and West Bengal and Tamil Nadu and this and that. And we are all floating in heaven with all this news, and election season is coming up. We are not talking about that. We're talking about the Rajas predominant person backed by Sattva is doing Kshatriya Karma, will be interested. Automatically his drive will be to join services. Join the army, navy, and air force. That person will join these forces, and he will serve the country. Automatically he will become like that. Local panchayat, he will work for the panchayat, then he will go to the city government, and then the state and the center. That's how that person's life will be. Okay. Next, first is what? Brahmana Karma. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas composition. Then what about Kshatriya Karma? Rajas predominant backed by Sattva, and then Tamas is last. Then third. You can guess the third composition. Rajas predominant, no different from the Kshatriya Karma. Tamas secondary. Sattva is third. Correct? RTS. First is SRT, second is RST, third is RTS. I hope you're following me. I hope I'm not going too fast. Okay. Now we are talking about this third composition called Rajas predominant, Tamas secondary, Sattva is third. Now, because Rajas is predominant, the person is ambitious, no doubt. The person has an interest to do things and achieve things. But then Tamas is secondary. That drive is backed by Tamas. Therefore, the person is going to have this ambition but be selfish. He will do things which prop up the self. He will do things. She'll be following dharma, no doubt, but dharma for the self. Correct? Is it possible? Dharma for the self? Yeah, dharma for the self. Nothing wrong with that. We don't have a problem with that. Do whatever you do, but follow dharma. I, me, myself, family. Okay, fine. At least do the right thing for the family. Okay, and give your children best education, and whatever money you make, you take care of your family. Fine. Build a few bungalows, and all that is fine. Nothing wrong with that. That person, that karma he or she does is called a Vaishya Karma. We are not saying business people are selfish. That don't get confused. Let's go slowly, step by step. I want to caution you guys. We're not saying business people are selfish. We're saying that Vaishya Karma means any activity which is business, commerce, agriculture, supply chain, moving goods, getting things to people. That is called Vaishya Karma. People can do Vaishya Karma, but they can. In fact, the selfish part I should take out. I should take away. It is basically drive to make wealth. Wealth creation. Rajas primary, Tamas secondary, and Sattva third is going to come in the category of wealth creation. Therefore, that is called Vaishya Karma. Wealth creation. All businesses will come under Vaishya Karma. The person will be interested in doing business. We'll talk about the person who wants to do business but wants to serve society, gives up everything for society. We'll talk about that later, okay? But Vaishya Karma, understand Vaishya Karma. Karma we are talking, profession. Okay. The last is what? Tamas predominant, Rajas secondary, Sattva third. Tamas predominant, Rajas secondary, Sattva third. That composition. So that person is not going to be motivated much. The person does not have the ability to think through. And so the person will of course want to work, but that person will be a follower. That person will do what is told to do, what is told of him. So that person will take on jobs which doesn't require much thinking, which does not require leadership, which does not require drive and initiative. The person will do what he or she is told to do. So all skilled and unskilled labor will come under this category. Okay. So is there another combination? We talked about 4 combinations. Brahmana Karma, Sattva predominant, Rajas secondary. We talked about Kshatriya Karma, Rajas predominant, Sattva secondary. Then we talked about the Vaishya Karma, Rajas predominant, Tamas secondary. Then we talked about the Shudra Karma. Shudra Karma means karma, a profession where thinking is not predominant at all. You don't need big degrees. The person cannot get degrees. That kind of a person. Disinterested in all these studies. That person will do Shudra Karma. Skilled and unskilled labor. Any other category, any other combination of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas can we think of? Can we think of any other combination? Okay. We can't think of. Because all 3 are there in every karma. But then what is predominant, what is secondary? That we are talking about. So we'll come back to questions in a minute. I thought we'll have this Q&A shortly, but already it is 7:23. So, okay. So now, because this is important, I want you to make a note of these things, because this is a very sensitive subject. These words, Brahmana, Kshatriya and all that, you mention out there, and people are waiting to throw stones at each other when you bring up this topic. And so we need to understand this very clearly. Now, I'm going to now say Guna. Now, Guna is there. Guna means what? Character of a person. Character of a person. Okay. The character of a person is also defined by the same Sattva, Rajas and Tamas model. Okay. That you now know these three gunas, what it does to a person, we know that. And so the person with the predominantly sattva guna is going to have what is called Uttama guna. Uttama means a very noble character, a desirable character, person given to dharma, person given to values. Character now I'm not talking about profession. Now we are shifting from profession to character, okay, guna. Uttama guna, Madhyama guna, Adho Madhyama guna and Adhama guna. I'm going to repeat that. Uttama guna, Sattva predominant. Madhyama guna, Rajas predominant, Sattva secondary, Tamas later. Then Adho Madhyama guna. Adho Madhyama guna means Rajas predominant, Tamas secondary, and then Sattva. Then the last one, Adhama guna, means the lowest guna where Tamas is predominant and Rajas is secondary. When Tamas is predominant, Rajas only can be secondary, Sattva cannot be secondary. Cannot be secondary. You can't jump from Tamas to Sattva. You have to go through Rajas. Okay. That is why there are only 4 combinations. So, Uttama guna, character-wise, very, very noteworthy, very noble. And then all the way down to, so you've got Uttama guna, Madhyama guna, Adho Madhyama guna. Adho Madhyama guna means lower middle. They say lower middle class, Okay, now I got it. Lower middle guna. Okay. Upper class. No, this is not a class. This is guna. So I can't say upper class. Upper guna, middle guna, lower middle guna, and lower guna. So better to use Sanskrit words. Otherwise, we'll get confused to classes. So Uttama, Madhyama, Adho Madhyama, and Adhama. Adhama in Sanskrit means somewhat low, inferior. And so the Uttama guna person is going to be completely dharmic, will follow dharma, will dot the I's and cross the T's, will give more than take. That kind of a person is Uttama guna. And come down all the way to Adhama guna. Adhama guna, cutting corners, and the guna the person may not see dharma at all. May not be dharmic at all. Duryodhana is a good example. So they can even be, they cut corners. It's a gradation, okay? So can be a criminal also, or can just cheat, can deceive, etc. Guna, okay? Don't confuse guna with profession, okay? Okay, now I've defined guna, I've defined profession. Now we can ask the question. The person who is doing a Brahmana Karma, if the person has this Uttama guna, it's a great combination. Uttama guna and Brahmana Karma, correct? Great combination. And the person can be a Brahmana Karma, person can be in a temple, can be officiating rituals, can be a Veda Pandit, but then he can have the Madhyama guna, he can have the Adho Madhyama guna, and he can have the Adhama guna. Suppose he has the Adho Madhyama guna, means selfish. Adho Madhyama guna means selfish. So this person is a priest, okay, Pandita, but the person is selfish. Then what? Business. So he's chanting Om Ganana Antva Ganapatikum Havamahe Kava Randi 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 and Aye Ganapatikum Havamahe Kaving Kavi. Hare Namaskar. I haven't seen you in a long time. Kaving Kavi Inam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Pode Panne Inna Muttal. So this is the thing. We have seen all this before. In our life we have seen it. So Adho Madhyama Guna, Brahmana Karma, the fellow is doing Brahmana Karma, but he is interested in the plate, in the purse. Who is doing what? Aye. So I need to impress all these people so that I can get more. It's a bit sad, but that's how it is. That's how it is. And that's a combination we see. So like that, you can apply to all these people. There is a person who is the CEO of a business. Okay, what time is it? Okay, 7:29. He's a CEO of a business. Okay, of a company, and the person. So he is doing the Vaishya Karma. Clearly Vaishya Karma. Why? Because it's pure business, meant for making money. Vaishya Karma. But the person, you know what he does? He gives a lot to the company. Profit sharing. Profit is bird. Profit is shared with the employees. Profit is shared with the society. Okay. And that person is a Uttama Guna. Vaishya Karma combined with Uttama Guna. Correct? Uttama Guna. And that person, people, there is a book. And I read some time ago, about 10 years ago. It's called Good to Great. It's called Good to Great. Like this, there are many books which analyze companies and the good to great. Why some companies make the leap and others don't. That's the footnote. Okay, that's the part of the title. And so I read this book. Somewhere I got this book. I read it, and I could not keep my eyes off this book. Within 4 or 5 days, I finished it off. It was gripping. I'd say I'm not interested so much about companies and all that. Okay, company is a company and people do whatever. But this man, James Collins, I think his name is, if I'm not mistaken, James Collins. And he analyzes this and he says, and then he comes up with, they have analyzed 6,000 companies and they poured over a lot of paperwork about companies, their past history, this and that. And he comes up with certain principles of these great companies, and you will be amazed to hear the principles that he talks about. Okay, and he talks about leaders of great companies are driven to do what's best for the company. Okay, that's not, we know that, but they are humble and they share. They are humble and they share the pains of every employee. I recently heard about this one company suffered losses, had to let go of people. And he said, instead, you know what? I'm not going to let go of anybody. We need to take a cut in our salaries. I won't tell you who salary should get cut this much. On an average, I need to cut 20% of everybody's salaries. You guys talk to each other. And there are some families that cannot afford a cut in their salary, and some people can afford a cut. We need to go through this regimen for 6 months. You guys among yourself decide what's best. You can say whether you want to take a cut in your salary or not. And guess what? It seems the people decided to talk to each other and everything, and they know each other. They know who is in need of who has financial strains in their family and who doesn't. And so they came up with the plan, and the company went through this financial, this cost cutting and financial salary cutting and all that without laying off any employee, and then they came out of it also. That kind of a person who considers his company as a family. Okay, and that is one characteristic. Then James Collins said something else. He says, great leaders are those who first who, then what? First who, then what? They first hire the right people. Then he decides what to do. Have you heard of a company like this? Is this the way to run a company? Okay. First who, then what? Find the right people in the bus, then decide where to take the bus. This is amazing. When I heard these kinds of things, I was just amazed that there are companies like this. And he gives some examples, etc. And so for him, the character is important. What you do, what you make, how much profit you make is not that important. It's important, but not that important. The people are important. They put their emphasis on people. And so this is one of the principles he talks about. Then he talks about other things like confront the brutal facts. Confront the brutal facts, which means don't have yes men around you, people who nod their heads all the time and say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. You're right, you're right. No. So confronting the brutal facts. And like this person who gave an acronym for the word fear, F-E-A-R, fear. Fear. He said one meaning of fear is forget everything and run. Forget everything and run. Fear. Forget everything and run. Or face everything and rise. I like that very much. Face everything and rise. So this type of a leader said we need to face everything. Pandemic, let's get to the bottom. Okay, let's get to the bottom. What is the threat to our company? How do we protect the employees and how do we protect the society? How do we protect the society also? So the Tatas come and they do service and, free vaccinations, help the people who are suffering. So that kind of a mindset must be there, that I, me, myself versus this society is mine. The society depends on me. So that I was amazed by this book. And there are many other books like this. And, what is it? Built to Last and things like that. I remember there are some good books, In Search of Excellence and things like that. So point here being what? There is a karma-based hierarchy, karma-based, not hierarchy, sorry, I take back that word. Karma-based, a profession-based categorization, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, which is there all over the world, not just Vedic society. Every society has these kinds of karmas. Every society needs thinkers, researchers, teachers, Brahmana Karma. Every society needs Kshatriyas, who protect this country, who offer service, and service providers. They're all Kshatriyas. Then you've got Vaishya, business. Every country needs business people. And Shudras, every country needs labor, needs people who provide the labor pool of every company and every society, every country. Therefore, this division is not unique to Vedic society. Although we have names for them, for these karmas, they're in every society. So karma is like this. Guna, we talked about 4 gunas. Gunas, of course, we want to have Uttama Guna. We don't want to have Adhama Guna. Adhama Guna, that is why Adhama Guna and Adho Madhyama Guna, we have to tell them, you follow Dharma, you follow Dharma. Dharma is very important. We teach those people to do Dharma. You don't need to bring Shastram at all. You don't need to bring any Bhagavad Gita, nothing. Dharma. Dharma is important for you. That's the guidance to be given to these people who have this last 2 gunas. What about the people with Madhyama Guna and Uttama Guna? Well, for them, Karma Yoga is there. Jnana Yoga is there. You take them, that will take them further along in their journey. Correct? So, Guna classification, Karma classification we did. Okay. So we'll stop with that here. And I thought of having a nice discussion here. So we will see. Maybe in satsang we can do that. But so what we talked about today is this driven by the word Chatur Varnyam, 4 varnas. Maya Srishtam, it was created by me, says Krishna. And we have to analyze all that further, which we will do in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.